Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. During COVID-19, have you been experiencing survivor guilt? Now, survivor guilt is a feeling that you're succeeding when others are failing. It's the feeling of having a win whilst other people are losing. And a number of our clients this week have mentioned survivor guilt to us during our coaching program. So we wanted to speak with you personally today and help you identify survivor guilt and what you can do about it. So, my darling wife,
Yes,
has there been a time in your life when you've felt survivor guilt?
100%. I will share one of my experience. My parents gave me a lot of good opportunity to study abroad, travel, and living as expatriates. However, my younger brother chose not to take those opportunity. So for a while, I was feeling guilt, and I feel very sorry for my brother because I always believe that he can have a better life than just like this. So for a while, I did question myself, if I help him a little bit more, if I push him a little bit more, maybe he will look different today, or he will have a better life.
And how does that make you feel?
I feel like I probably have to take part of responsibility, like as a older sister. Yeah. Like, having that, it's a little bit hard to explain. It's like a little burden in your heart. You feel like, because I didn't do enough, I feel a bit sorry, a bit guilt to my parents as well.
See, for business people, and if you own a business, you'll really understand this. As a business owner, you hate your competition because your competition are those people who steal your customers and they steal your livelihood. And I'm a former Australian champion athlete. I'm a very competitive person. I was very competitive when I was wakeboarding and I wanted to win. Now I'm a business owner. I want to win and I hate my competition. But I would actually never want to see something happen to my competitors' families or to themselves. I don't want them to experience loss. But what can happen is, as a competitive person, and you are competitive if you're in business, you have to win. Because in the game of business, if your customer buys from you, you win, you get to eat. But it also means that somebody loses and they have to go without. So what we're hearing right now is that our successful customers who have worked very hard, they're now feeling guilty because of their success. They're looking at their competitors who they don't know, but they don't like them competitively. They start to see them losing their livelihoods and they're feeling this burden, as Nini mentioned, and this pain. So we have to be mindful of this survivor guilt, because what can happen is we can actually start to feel guilty because we're having a great life when others aren't having a good life personally. So when this feeling of guilt arises, you have to learn how to manage this very effectively. And what we're seeing at the moment is people are feeling this burden. They're feeling this guilt and they stop taking action.
That's what we call, is kind of form of a self-sabotage, but because when we talk to our client, we can quickly acknowledge that and we pick it up and we tell the client so they can quickly start doing the changes, stopping this pattern and the thoughts.
It's very important to show empathy and care for those competitors of yours who fall over during this time. And it's very important to show them compassion. But you have to also make sure that doesn't affect your level of self-esteem and self-worth. See, a lot of people who experience guilt also don't feel worthy of success. And they've been waiting for success for such a long time. And now they've got it and they want to start pushing it away because they don't like the feeling. And as they push it away, they stop taking action. Now, a couple of other ways that business people are feeling survivor guilt right now is that you may have a very successful and solid business, but your customers, the people that you serve, you might see them losing their businesses. And what can happen is you can start to feel guilt because you're winning and they're losing.
Yes.
And you've got to be very mindful that you don't lose sight of the big picture here, because your business may be the business that causes everybody else to survive.
Yes.
Your business may be so successful that it actually eventually provides new customers for those other people. You may create so much business during COVID-19 that you can actually start to offer your former competitors jobs with you. Maybe you can acquire part of their business to help them succeed.
Yes.
So there's so many possibilities through COVID-19, but you've got to get past that survivor guilt.
Yeah. As we mentioned, I think for the past few months, we've been busier than ever before. And we always tell our clients that, we're here to support you, to help you to pass through this. And then we want them to help their customer as well. We all been through this together.
Survivor guilt is one of 5 different types of guilt. Firefighters, emergency service workers, people in the military, they feel survivor guilt. So what happens is, let's say it's somebody in the fire brigade.
Yeah.
You run into a burning building and you get to exit that building, but your colleague dies in the fire. What happens is that that firefighter who survives feels guilt for actually even being alive. And what happens is, as they're feeling guilty about being alive, they don't enjoy being a dad. They don't enjoy being a husband or a wife. They don't even enjoy being a friend or a family member, because they feel guilty because they have lived and somebody else has died. So during times of COVID-19, when it comes to emotional intelligence, it's very important to be self-aware and understand the type of guilt that you're experiencing.
Yeah.
And one of the 5 types of guilt is survivor guilt. And if you can identify it quickly, then you can start to regulate that feeling. And you have to regulate those feelings so you can keep producing the actions that get you paid.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, if you stop taking action, you'll stop creating income and you will lose also. And there's an old saying, and I learned it back in 1999. My boss said to me, he said, Daniel, you'll never get rich working for a poor boss. And the translation and what that actually means is you can't give what you don't have. So if you lose your livelihood, you can't help anybody else.
That's right.
Your duty is to become more successful during these times. It's to gain new knowledge.
Yep.
It's to gain new skills. It's to change your attitude so that you can succeed. And as you succeed, others will start to succeed around you. If you become wealthy during this time, you can be the one who provides employment. You can provide survival, food, water, shelter for those other people. You can provide those safety and security needs. So we need you to be incredibly successful.
Yeah.
So you've got to focus on what's important here.
Yeah.
So first step is you identify the feeling. And if the feeling is survivor guilt, as soon as you can identify this, you can start to regulate that. Once you start to regulate that, your motivation will actually start to increase. And right now, everybody is outside of their comfort zone.
Yes.
Everybody who had a winning business last week, who has no business this week, is outside of their comfort zone. One thing that we have in common is COVID-19, but all of us have to do things out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And in Asia, in Taiwan, in the Asian races, there's also another emotion called shame. And what's going to happen right now is you have to transform. You have to leave what is known and you have to start to go into the unknown. And we were talking about this with one of our clients before, and it's this feeling of shame. So what happens in the Asian race when somebody has to go sell hamburgers or sandwiches? What happens?
I remember when I was little at school, in the class, you always will have a little naughty kids, doesn't want to pay attention to the school. So the teacher will say, if you don't get good grades in this class or at school, in the future, when you grow up, you're going to be a person just on the street selling those bread or working at a hamburger shop. And sometimes I will hear that from not my parents, but some other parents say to their kids. So in order to encourage the kids to learn more, they're using a different way to motivate them, which is the shame. So that is also the form of the guilt, because when these kids, they're using their parents' money to go to the school, and then they didn't get good grades, and the parent
I
will
paid
say,
hundreds of thousands of dollars for your education, and you're selling this?
Yes.
Shame on you.
Yes. Yeah. So I think in the Asian society, a lot of people having those burden.
So we're going to be very mindful of shame. So in 2007, I lost one of my businesses. It was a shock. And in 2008, I was working on a construction site holding a stop slow sign. And in my life, I never imagined that I'd be standing on the side of a freeway holding a stop slow sign directing traffic. But I had to do what I had to do to survive. And there is no shame of you. If you've lost your business, there is no shame if you go down the street and get a job picking up papers. If that job enables you to put food in your belly, if it enables you to put food in the belly of your families, if it enables you just to live day to day, but eventually enables your survival, there is no shame in that.
Yeah.
And you have to be mindful of that. Yeah. When I was doing traffic controlling, I did not like doing it. I did not get motivated to do it. I didn't write down goals in my life to say, I want to control traffic. What I did was I did something for the short term to ensure the long term. So if your life changes right now, you have to do whatever it takes to ensure your survival. And there is no shame in pivoting. There is shame in giving up, and there's cowardness, and there's spinelessness if you give up.
Yeah.
But there is no shame in doing something different. So you got to do whatever it takes. And eventually after 2008, I did that for 6 months. I didn't like doing it, but I got my life back on track. I ended up working with Emirates Airline, co-leading a team of 17,000 people. It's now 2020, and we have a very successful business. Was it worth it? Was it worth going through that pain to ensure our long-term survival? Absolutely. It was. So don't get caught up in the guilt or the embarrassment or the shame. And that's very important. So your level of motivation, right now, a lot of people are going to have low levels of motivation because they look out into the future and all those hopes, all those dreams, all those things that they wanted this year, next year, all of a sudden these things have disappeared. And a lot of people are feeling a sense of loss, and they're letting it impact their level of motivation. You now have to pivot. What you have to do is you have to set different goals. Right. And the most important thing for you to get past guilt is to set a new goal. See, guilt is a very heavy negative emotion. It is a negative emotion from the past. And the more you feel like guilt, the more you are held back by the past. You've got to set goals. Yeah. You have to set immediate goals. Right now, you may just have a goal to make enough money to survive for the next 24 hours. And that's not a bad goal to have if you're hungry and you're starving. So you got to set immediate goals. And in my book, Free Drugs for Entrepreneurs, when you set a goal, you get dopamine. You need dopamine right now because you have to face a new enemy. You have to face a new obstacle. Yeah. Once you set a goal and you take action and you start to move towards it, you start to get adrenaline. You need your heart pumping. You've got to have that heart pumping. You have to be David facing Goliath. And Goliath right now is the new world. You don't know how to interact in this new world, but you need the adrenaline so you can start to face these obstacles. Yeah. Once you face these obstacles, and if you just have the smallest of small wins every day, your body will start to release a neurotransmitter called serotonin. And serotonin is nature's happy drug. And through even these turbulent times, it is still your birthright to feel happy. Yeah. You are allowed to feel happy. A lot of people who are feeling survivor guilt right now, what they do is they suppress their happiness. If you suppress your happiness, eventually you'll teach your subconscious mind that you're not entitled to happiness. You need to feel happy. Your birthright is to feel happy. You are allowed to experience joy even in turbulent times. Yeah, so if you've got a loving partner, share with them your goals. Yes. We have many goals as couples. We had a goal to go where 10 years ago?
Paris for our honeymoon.
We were going to Paris 10 years ago for our honeymoon. Have we got there yet?
Not yet.
Shame on you, husband.
No.
Shame on you. Shame on you, husband. How dare you not take me to...
I never said that.
My wife never said that to me.
Never.
See, what happens is you set goals And then what happens is you can only control your actions and activities. But there's also external constraints. There's things outside of you that are going to set you back. And as we've built our business over the past decade, we've faced a lot of loss. And one of the things we still haven't achieved is a honeymoon.
That's right.
But you've got to keep moving forward. And we're always looking for a new way to get to Paris. We were going there this year.
Yeah, and then
until coronavirus.
Yeah.
But when I was walking down the street the other day, I actually saw a 6-foot tall Eiffel Tower. And I said, wife, why don't you just have a photo next to that? And that can be our honeymoon.
That's so lame.
So if you've set a goal, you're going to experience a sense of loss, but you've got to communicate with your partner. And you've got to start to set new goals. You have to have new goals for yourself. You have to have new goals as partners. You've got to have new goals as family. You've got to have new goals as a business
partner.
As business partners.
Yeah.
So it's okay to change your goals, especially in times of rapid change.
Yes.
And as you change your goals, you can increase your motivation. Really, really important. Once you've got your motivation in place, now it's really important for you to start to work on your levels of empathy. So what's empathy in your opinion? What do you think empathy is?
Compassions, helping others, at the moment, what I can offer, except the financial support, what else? It can be doing some charity work, visiting some peoples, or even just pick up the phone to talk to your clients or talk to your friends who might be locked down at home, or self-isolated. That can be a very lonely emotions. So, that is something that you can do, just a little tiny things.
Do you know what the greatest punishment is in prison?
Silent, nobody talk to you.
Isolation.
Yeah, isolation.
So what's going to happen right now is people are going to feel really, really isolated. And the kindest, most compassionate thing you could do is to demonstrate empathy and give an old customer a call. Ring them up and say, "G'day. I was thinking about you today. I know the world's in turmoil, but I just want to let you know that I'm thinking of you." That in and of itself is enough to bring somebody back to life. It's to give them hope. It's to help them with their resiliency, to know that there's other people out there who are thinking about them. And that's really important. Even today, maybe you just knock on your neighbor's door and say, "Look, hey, I've got my mask on. I just want to check in. Is everything okay? Good. We're thinking about you." Move on. Send somebody a text message. And empathy is your ability to read the emotional makeup of other people. So as we come back around full circle here, talking about survivor guilt, if you recognize survivor guilt in one of your team members, help them identify what they're feeling. Only 36% of the population can identify the emotions that they're feeling. So you might have to point it out to them and say, what you're feeling right now is survivor guilt. And what's happening is it's causing you to take action. And if you stop taking action, it's going to be like a domino effect. You're going to be the next to fall. Your family will suffer from after that. So that's what you're feeling. How do we get you back taking action? And see, if you can't identify survivor guilt in yourself, you can never help somebody identify it in themselves. Remember what we said before. You'll never get rich working for a poor boss. It says you can't give what you don't have. If you can't identify survivor guilt in your own life, you'll never be able to help somebody else identify it in their life. 100%. And then the fifth thing that's important here is social skills. Right now, you have to be very mindful of the words that you use. So you might choose your words wisely. And what happens is, because other people are very sensitive right now, they have limited capacity for understanding, limited capacity for concentration, limited capacity to make a good decision. If you choose the wrong word and it hits the other person's emotional chords, what can happen is someone can just explode. So before you say anything, just take a breath, get very clear in your mind the words that you would like to use, and just consider, are these words appropriate in this context for this person right now? Because our words can have a major impact on other people. You have no control how other people filter your message, but you can control what you say. So survivor guilt, coming full circle, is part of emotional intelligence.
Mm.
When you can identify it in yourself, when you can regulate it within yourself, you'll become more motivated. As you become more motivated, you'll have the energy to help people identify it in themselves.
Yeah, and helping others. I think that's very important, because I know that for a lot of our follower and the audience, you are all leaders. And leader is that not just become your own leader, but also become the leader and helping others to achieve their goals. In
And
this turbulent time, it's very important.
And that's your job.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with survivor guilt, if you've got questions about guilt, make sure you post them in the feed below. If you want to talk to somebody about how you're feeling and you want some expert advice, feel free to message myself here on Facebook. Feel free to message Nini on Facebook, or you can write to us confidentially. My email address is daniel@danieltolson.com. Yours is Nini at ninitolson.com, and write to us personally, and we'd be more than happy to give you some confidential ideas on how you can overcome survivor guilt for yourself and ensure the survival of your families. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it was great to be here.
It's always nice to be here with our friends, and we'll see you soon. Have a wonderful day. Ciao for now.